Hello everybody, this is the Skyrim Special Edition blog. Yeah, I hope you've been watching my other blogs, my normal chatty blogs. Because if you haven't, you won't know what's coming. But if you have, you'll have a good idea. So let's go back in time, right? Let's do the timey-wimey bit as the Doctor Who says. Woo! We're way back 4 years. 4 years ago, I ported across my Skyrim mods to Skyrim Special Edition. This was after I'd stopped playing for a bit. Now, I found out at that point, after releasing them, that mods that worked perfectly when I stopped modding suddenly didn't work because of something Bethesda had done to the game. But this happened is true in the Skyrim and the Skyrim Special Edition. So I pulled the lot. And I really didn't have time to test everything, so I just left it there. But I have been playing the mods here, finding out exactly what's wrong with the ones that were broken and which ones were working. I now know where all the breaks are, why it broke. I know the trigger boxes in Skyrim are still corrupt, and if you get a mod that has a corrupt trigger box, it will always be dodgy with trigger boxes. Nothing you can do about it, it'll just keep breaking. That's what's been happening. That was true in the original Skyrim, it's true in Skyrim Special Edition. It's another bug that introduced into Skyrim. I don't know if it's in Fallout 4, because I haven't modded Fallout 4, because I hated the dialogue systems, I didn't even bother. But yeah, I do know I've seen it in several mods, and every time I fixed it, and I know how to do trigger box, I can do it in my sleep. It says every time I fixed it, it broke again almost immediately. No explanation why. So yeah, a few mods were hit by that. A few mods were hit by some bug, script bug, which I never could figure out. Like that's Demon Hunter. I know roughly where the error occurs. I'm just not sure why. It might even be a bug I left in, because that's very random, that mod. So I think I played through it, tested it, it works. But the random nature of the quest means I might have just got lucky when I was testing and that bug never appeared, so it could be my fault. But anyway, these mods didn't work, they broke. But Solstein mod, the one with the Morag Tong in it and the Raven Rock Gardener quests, they work. That one works. I played that several times. I really enjoy the Morag Tong quests. The Morag Tong, guild, if that's what you could call it. The way I set it up, it just feels the part. It oozes lore and immersion. Darklaw Grimoire, the one with the Mages Guild in it, Solitude Mages Guild and the Necromancer Guild. They're set up as local guilds, nothing to do with the original Mages Guild or the original Mana Marco Guild, nothing like that, right? Says this is individual ones set up hundreds of years later in the original locations of what would have been a guild in Solitude. Anyway, also it revamped the College of Winterhold. If anybody out there from the tag remember those special mages and me taking the piss in the mod, this is the mod. This is the mod I do it in. When you see them going, hello, I can't see you, it's a bit dark. And then you go to talk to the mage outside, he goes, what's all the noise? And he goes, it's so stupid special mages and dashed off in there without a torch. That's the mod, right? Mod that tells you not to follow the white arrow, and when you do, you get to a book saying you shouldn't be here, should you? And it just shuts down the rest of the plot line because you're too thick to follow instructions. That mod. It doesn't shut down the Mages Guild stuff or anything like that, by the way, or just the College of Winterhold quest line. But that one's working, right? That's the one where you can learn the next spell in a school by casting the early ones. You perfect the early ones and you automatically learn and receive the next one. And if you get the right combination of spells or the right combination of skills, you'll unlock special skills. Skills that allow you to summon bears and dwemer and stuff like that, and undead, certain undead things you can't normally summon. Right? And this is because the way I've been able to do it, the way I've been able to upgrade the spells allowed me to do that. It was just a bonus. You can make spell books with that. You could upgrade the healing spell version 1 to healing spell version 2 and healing spell version 3. And same with every single spell in the game that I made. It's a very, very good thing. And it doesn't introduce anything immersion break or anything that doesn't suit the game. Because everything I ever did was based on what Bethesda did. I didn't add Darth Vader to the game, for instance. So those two are working. But there is one other mod I haven't touched in 4 years. 5 years, over 5 years. This particular mod, I spent so much time making it and testing it, I really couldn't play it again. And it's like it's been the same with every single mod I've ever done for every single game I've ever done. When I've worked on a mod heavily, I really lost interest in playing it. I couldn't enjoy it like you guys would. Like, I spent so much time in the editor with it and then testing it that when it was released, I was sick of the sight of it. So this particular mod hasn't really been enjoyed by me in 5 years. Probably not even before then, because I just couldn't face it. So 5 years on, that's when I finally get to enjoy the mod the same way you enjoy the mod. That's today. I'm enjoying the mod, this particular mod today, like you enjoyed it 5 years ago. And I can say this mod, if this mod was the main quest for Skyrim, Skyrim would have been a much better game. And I think there'd be very few people out there who would disagree. It's one of those situations, where this particular mod is so good. People don't need to tell you it's good, you know it's good. It's one of those situations. I'm talking about Return to Helgen. It's working on Skyrim SE. I actually tried to upload it to Bethesda's site today, but there's some kind of error going on. It just timed out and locked up the editor. I'm not so sure why. So I've got to figure out how to upload the files again and remember which files need packing and things like that, because I've forgotten. It's just gone. Right, so I've got to relearn all that lot. But I will relearn it, and I'll do it sometime over the Christmas period, and I'll try to get them out there. So sometime between Christmas and New Year, maybe just after New Year, all 3 mods will be available for Skyrim SE again. Why am I doing it now? Well, I had a terrible year, right? Me and the wife split, lost my home and my job, and then we had the DVLA, that's where you go to get your licence updated. They required documents in order to update my licence. I sent all my documents away, and they were closed for COVID. They just weren't open for 3.5 months. So documents I needed to prove I was eligible to work in my own country and eligible to rent in my own country didn't come back to me for 3.5 months. And I was homeless, jobless, unable to earn a living or whatever for 3.5 months, waiting for these documents to come back. It was in a terrible place. Right? It was one of the worst experiences of my life, and it was worse because of COVID. During that time, I had very little choice but to ask for help. And I got the help I asked for. Some of it was family, some of it was friends, some of it was from tech members who are still standing by me and still on the Engineering Guild on Facebook. The site may have closed a long time ago, but the Engineering Guild on Facebook, which was open before the site closed, that is still running. I don't really post on it every single day, but we all read it. When the post goes there, it gets replies fairly quickly. And there's a lot of people on there who still enjoy my work, go on there just in case there's an update or I do something, and now they're going to find that waiting around is going to be rewarded. Because I want to say thank you to everybody that helped me this year, and this is the best way I can think of. Is giving people what they wanted. Last time people stood by me was when I was being targeted by a bunch of trolls from Beth's site, put on me by toolmakers and patch makers, and because they just couldn't take no for an answer. So yeah, I said thanks to the fans back then by making the Elder Council mod for Oblivion, which is a big mod in its own right. So yeah, which I'm actually thinking of re-releasing them as well. I'm not sure where. It's actually on File Planet if you're interested. File Planet closed a long time ago though. But it's about 1 gig upload or download for that lot. For Oblivion. That's 1 gig's worth of mods I made for one game. That's a lot of mods. Anyway, oh by the way, just to update, if you've got them mods, turn off Skyrim mod, the one I did. It's got some bugs in it. I've discovered some bugs in it that are pretty serious. Don't use it. If you've got the not Civil War mod, the Stormcloak mod, what do they call it? The Windhelm one for Skyrim, the one with big battles and supports the Stormcloaks in the same way as Helgen supports the Empire. That one should be run after you leave Helgen for the first time because it corrupted the beginning of the game somehow. No idea why, but sometimes Bethesda's ESPs are prone to do that when you save them off. I don't know why, it goes with the territory. It's why you've got to make backups, because sometimes when that starts happening, you've got to scrap that and go back to an earlier version. Now, here's some extra information for you, right? Just to remind us all how Helgen works. Helgen was the first mod I made for Skyrim. As such, it was a learning curve. I used it as a learning curve. And you can see me improving as it goes through. I get better and better and better until at the end it's almost like a different person was making the mod. Anyhow, it's done in 4 bits really. It's all in one mod, but it's four parts to it. The first part is patrols. That was set up so every time you walk through the centre of Helgen, where all the merchants are on the fire, right? That does an update. It checks what you've done, right? What you've done in the main quest. And if it sees, right, that you've finished certain quests, it will unlock parts of Return to Helgen that was previously locked down. So you start off by doing patrols, and then eventually you get made governor of Helgen from the patrols. Now that can even be as a Stormcloak or as an Imperial, governor. But the Stormcloak part ends at the end of that section. It just means you can rebuild Helgen and use it, but that's where it ends because it's really an Imperial mod. Right? If you're Empire and the Civil War's over, it unlocks the second stage, the Penitens Oculata stage, where you're doing missions for them and having to cower down to the Falmar. And it's designed to be really annoying. You really want to punch their lights out. It's kind of the point. Then you get to the point where you start being introduced to the concept that you're Dragonborn. You have the same blood as previous Dragon Emperors. And then that section stops. And you don't know why, because Helgen's linked to your progression in other areas of the game. It ties into the game's main plot like that. So anyhow, you then go and do the Dark Brotherhood questline. And when the Emperor dies, they're looking around for a new Emperor. And there you are, the Dragonborn, with the Dragon blood, just like Tiber Septim, and all the previous Emperors going from Elysia forwards, Reman and all that lot. And it tells you the history and everything about it. And then just as you get to the end of the quest for that, and you're looking like there's a war with a Falmar coming, right? It stops. And it waits for you to complete diplomatic immunity. When you complete diplomatic immunity, that's the last time the Falmar really need to be in the game. Other than the odd quest to rescue people, the Falmar can then be shot at, killed, anything you want. It makes no difference. That's when Helgen goes to war. The second you're crowned Emperor is when the Emperor dies. That's when you get to be Emperor, right? And then the next step is an Emperor declaring war on the Falmar, and that's the final stage. And you get to do some really good battles. You can do that as a brute force, as a mage, stealthy. I actually like stealthy. I mean, I actually wiped out all the Falmar bases in that using a bow and one-handed knives and one-handed axes, right? And I was getting like times 30 damage, with a knife at the end. So yeah. But then you get to the end and it tells you the wall drag on for a bit, right? But you say you're going to go to Valenwood and do your thing. But obviously this isn't a Valenwood mod. You're emperor, so you're not allowed to go. But you get all the way through the story, a rich, rich history, all drawn together from various sources of law, with a few liberties thrown in where I can like merge the two and explain it and everything else. You get to learn an awful lot about Elder Scrolls lore, to be honest, through that, and because it is a lore mod. But remember, right, Bethesda like people to have two sides to every bit of lore. So I can tell you now, if you're not familiar with Elder Scrolls lore, it breaks down to two types: elf version, human version. Everything in Elder Scrolls is elf or human. You know, Lorcan, hero to humans, hated by the elves. He's a trickster to the elves. That kind of thing, right? Talos, right? He's Dragonborn. You know, so he's a Dragon of the North, or Yushme, Dragon of the North. He's not the only person that would be called Yushme. It gets rather confusing, right? It's a hard concept to grasp that Yushme is a kind of the name given to a hero who keeps returning to fight the elves. You know, and everybody that did it was called Yushme, and a lot of them were Dragonborn. Some of them they weren't called Dragonborn, but they had the ability to shout and learn shouts and do all kinds of stuff, you know, and they were favoured by gods and stuff like that. There was all kinds of stuff going on. In that area, I took a few little liberties, you know, to make an interesting story. If you can follow it, good for you. But trust me, it's not easy to follow because it's deliberately muddied. It comes from several official sources. None of this is unofficial. All come from official sources. So it fits with a game really well. It's not like I've introduced Daffy Duck or anything like that. I'll try to introduce concepts that just have no place in Skyrim. This is Skyrim lore, told in a Skyrim way, using Skyrim characters. That kind of thing. It fits. So anyhow, keep an eye out for it. I've got some things to do over Christmas. I can't do anything now, right? But it's ready for release. And as soon as I remember how the upload stuff works, you'll get it too. Merry Christmas and thanks for supporting me. I know we haven't done anything for half a decade, but it's good to know you're still there for me as friends, and I like to thank people that help me. So thank you and Merry Christmas.